Joining us on the line right now, Bret, anchor of Special Report on the Fox News Channel, seen weekdays at 6 p.m. By the way, Bret, I'm glad to have you. I'm really excited about this special you're doing tonight at 10 o'clock called Rising Threats and Shrinking Military. I think this is a story that has gone ignored. We do have greater threats around the world, and we have slowly but surely been, cutting back on the amount of money we're spending on our military. Is it getting to a crisis point?
Yeah, Brian, good morning. Listen, we set out about 8 months ago with the premise, after talking to people in the military and experts who know the military, who were telling us that the military was deteriorating, both in how it was ready for things, the readiness, and its place in the world and its use. And so we went to look at that and talk to people, and we threw out a wide net about different experts and people to talk to. And we ended up talking to 3 out of the 4 defense secretaries under President Obama, Secretary Gates, Secretary Panetta, and Secretary Hagel, who were amazingly blunt and straightforward about pretty stinging criticism of different aspects of how this administration has dealt with the military. And I think it's pretty illuminating. It is an hour we spent a lot of time working on, and you're right, it has not been focused on that much on this campaign trail, and hopefully tonight we'll force that issue.
So it's going to run tonight at 10 o'clock. Will there be a second and third showing?
There is. 10 o'clock tonight is the premiere, and then 8 o'clock tomorrow, and then it reruns 9 p.m. Sunday.
Well, listen, I compliment you on that. I think it's a great topic, and I will be watching with great interest. Okay, next week we're going to be focusing on Wisconsin. I see the polls there look pretty good for Ted Cruz. How's that looking from your perspective?
Yeah, there's a new Fox Business poll just out last night that has him up 10. It's a margin of error of 3, I think, or 3.5. So he clearly is on the move in Wisconsin, and that kind of tracks with the Marquette Law School poll that was out a couple days ago. I think this is a big moment. Wisconsin is one state, but it seems like it is on the precipice of whether Donald Trump is going to get to the majority of delegates needed, 1237, or not. And it's still possible that he can, but it starts to get a little bit more complicated as the states add up if Ted Cruz or John Kasich perform well.
All right, so, I mean, if Kasich prevails, then just the climb to the 1237 becomes much more difficult.
For anybody, it's going to be more difficult, and if Trump doesn't get there, I think that the going bet is you head into Cleveland, and it becomes an open deal where there are multiple ballots, and then there is, this push to get a consensus candidate who can get to the majority of delegates. And suddenly it's a different calculation. It's the party and the delegates assembled saying who is going to be best against running against Hillary Clinton.
Okay, one of your campaign cowboys made a little news yesterday. Karl Rove, by the way, Chris Wallace really shouldn't call himself a cowboy. I'm just saying. I mean, I like him, but that's a stretch for me.
I agree.
But Karl Rove was on the Hugh Hewitt show, and he was giving an analysis of the various candidates and how they might fare in the November election, and then he threw this out as they were going to commercial break. Listen.
And a fresh face might be the thing that could give us a chance to turn this election and win in November against Hillary.
Now, what his suggestion was there, maybe we just go to the convention and we get rid of Trump and we get rid of Kasich and we get rid of Cruz and we come out with somebody new and different. Your thoughts?
I think that's a long shot. I mean, I really do. I do agree that once you get to a convention and you don't have enough delegates, it is an open ball game, and it can happen. But I think that to believe that that's going to happen kind of overshoots the Cruz folks and the Trump folks and the Kasich folks who will be on the floor. And, they have to be convinced, those delegates have to be convinced that it's in the best interest of the party to bring in somebody else from the outside who has not been running, who has not had millions of votes cast for them. I think the going bet is that Cruz would prevail in some kind of, compromise ticket, maybe with Kasich, or somehow there's a negotiated deal. But I don't think it's a done deal that Donald Trump doesn't doesn't get to 12,
doesn't clinch, right? Yeah, well, that's interesting. By the way, in a November matchup, I mean, that's what this was all about when Karl Rove threw that out there. I note a Fox News poll that says that Donald Trump has a problem with women. I mean, 67% of women say that they have an unfavorable or negative opinion of Trump. Quinnipiac says 67.
Yeah.
NBC
CNN
says 70.
73.
Yeah, CNN says 73. ABC News has 74.
And those are before, Brian, the abortion comments.
Absolutely. That's exactly my point. And we noted earlier on this program, and I laid out all those numbers, and all those polls seem to be pretty consistent, and it was before the abortion comments. And I note that Mitt Romney won women by 14 points, but lost the election. So, I mean, how is this going to work out? I mean, is this a real concern? How does Donald Trump turn that around?
Well, he's got to focus on it because it is a real concern, and that is one of the cases that will be made against him if it is an open convention, is, the negatives among women and how he would play against Hillary Clinton. I think he's going to focus on it. I think yesterday was, listen, it's no sugarcoating it. This was a bad week for Donald Trump. I mean, this was a bumpy road. It started out with Corey Lewandowski, and then his defense of Lewandowski, which, some people, his supporters, said was great, but I think people looked at and said, wow, that's really, really aggressive. And then you had his town hall appearances where he had a couple of things that he said. I mean, one was the three goals or roles of the federal government, and he said security, healthcare, and education. And that doesn't really fly with, the Common Core hating GOP base. And then, of course, the abortion comment. So it was not a great week, and he's got to bounce back. The question is where the stop is, and it might be New York.
Well, okay, yeah, it may be there. Listen to Bret Baier, Fox News Channel. Your special tonight, 10 p.m. Rising threat, shrinking military. Bret, you're a good friend of this program. We appreciate you coming on.
All right, have a great weekend.